The rate of non-American-born MLB players has been steadily increasing for the past several years, as the international reach of baseball improves. In recent years, Americans have made up about 70% of the league, but some of the game's brightest stars have come from Latin America, specifically the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, where the majority of foreign-born players are from. So I set out to create a 26-man roster for the best possible American team and the best possible non-American team, and pit them against each other in Out of the Park Baseball 22's simulation module to see who comes out on top. So here's the team I came up with for America. The first thing you notice is our pitching staff is crazy. DeGrom, Cole, Giolito, Scherzer, and Bieber are 5 of the probably best 7 or 8 pitchers in Out of the Park. Walker Buehler is another one of these top-tier pitchers coming out of the bullpen. The rest of our bullpen is still very good, if not quite as insane as our rotation. Nick Anderson, Ken Giles, James Karinchak, Josh Hader, Ryan Presley, Devin Williams, and Taylor Rogers. Only 2 lefties in the pen, which is a little unfortunate, but definitely all of them have elite strikeout stuff and definitely capable of pitching high leverage innings. Our lineup, also very good, obviously. Christian Yelich leading off, then Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout, Alex Bregman, Bryce Harper, DJ LeMahieu, Corey Seager, and JT Realmuto, top to bottom MVP candidates. And then out of the bench, on the bench we have Will Smith as our backup catcher, Anthony Rendon is our backup corner infielder, Bo Bichette is our backup middle infielder, and then Cody Bellinger is just a general utility guy off the bench. Bellinger got a lot of starts and pinch hitting opportunities just around the field as we get the rest of our players rest. Definitely everybody on the team is pretty much an MVP candidate, maybe with the exception of like Will Smith and a couple of the relievers. It's going to be hard for the world team to beat this, although I think it is possible. The only sort of notable weak spots, if you can call it a weak spot, are probably shortstop, where if you kind of think about it, most of the top tier shortstops are actually Hispanic, which I didn't realize until making this video. Corey Seager's probably the only real top tier shortstop that's American, maybe him and Trevor Story. So that's maybe the one weak spot where the world team can make up ground, but I don't see too much of a world where the non-American team beats this, because it's just so crazy top to bottom. And here we have our rest of the world all-star team, and again, the first thing you notice is the rotation is not quite as good as the US team. Full of all-stars for sure, but not quite that top tier of like 80 overall pitchers that you saw pretty much top to bottom in the US rotation. Here we have Luis Castillo, Luis Severino, Yu Darvish, Dinelson Lamet, and German Marquez. All great pitchers, but again, probably a tier below most of the ones in the US team. In the bullpen, we have a great top end of the bullpen with Aroldis Chapman, Edwin Diaz, Liam Hendricks, and maybe Diego Castillo and Kenley Jansen. But kind of the depth in the bullpen, like Graterol, Morejon, Victor Gonzalez, kind of more low-end pieces that, again, very good pitchers, but not quite as good as most of the US pitchers. The lineup, though, I would say the lineup rivals the US team pretty head-to-head. They're very comparable. You have Acuna, Soto, Tatis, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Ramirez, Jose Abreu, Marcell Ozuna, Ozzy Albies, and Yasmani Grandal is our lineup against righties, rather. I believe our lineup against the lefties has some platoons going on. You have Salvador Perez platoon against Yasmani Grandal at catcher. Then you have Francisco Lindor coming in against lefties with Tatis moving to the DH spot. So it's a very good lineup top to bottom. I would say it's about even with the US lineup, but the pitching staff is going to be where the US team makes up a lot of ground, just because the US team has better bullpen depth and just also a better rotation top to bottom in every spot. Finally, Out of the Park has these kind of dorky team pictures, which I think are pretty funny. So here's our US team picture, and then here's our rest of the world team picture. So here's, if you want to run down the rosters real quickly, here you go. Alright, so cool thing about Out of the Park that maybe not a lot of people know about is this simulation module. It's kind of tucked away in the play button here. But in this, you can pick any 2 teams. So we're going to pick our US team and our rest of the world team. And you can just simulate pretty much an infinite number of games between them. And you can set like the game importance, so we want like high leverage games or normal games. I'm going to go with normal games for this. Yeah, and we're going to simulate 1,620 games, just a normal season times 10. That way we can get a larger sample size, but still easily, divide all our home run totals and things like that. So we're just going to simulate this and see what happens. I'm anticipating the US team will win more games, but I think it'll be relatively close, so let's give it a whirl. Alright, so as we can see here, the US team takes 923 games, the world team takes 697. Run differential about 1,000, so if you scale that by 10, since we played 10 times more games, it's about 100 difference in the run differential. US team have for a better average, but less home runs. The world team have more home runs. US team had a much better ERA, which is, again, I kind of saw that coming. The starting pitching is like the biggest difference between the two. If we sort by OPS here, you can see best hitters on the US team, Mike Trout. You could see that one come. Corey Seager, actually. And then Cody Bellinger, Alex Bregman, Mookie Betts. So yeah, lots of high tier hitting on the US team. Lots of good hitting on the world team, too. Juan Soto put up a great performance, as did Jose Ramirez and Jose Abreu. After that, it kind of thins out compared to the US team. But again, we knew the big difference here would be the pitching. So if you go into pitching stats here, Max Scherzer actually not great. Neither did Jacob deGrom or Garrett Cole. Or all the starting pitching actually sort of lackluster. But if you compare that to the world starting pitching, yeah, even worse. So Dinelson Lamet had a 6 ERA, Darvish had a 6 ERA. So did German Marquez. And it's to be expected when the lineups are this insane. Like, the pitching is probably going to be difficult. But the US pitching, you know, around 5 ERAs for most of them, and around 6 ERAs for most of the world pitchers. So again, just a tier below for most of our rest of world pitching staff. The bullpens are both fine. Maybe a little bit better for the US bullpen, but not super noticeably, I don't think. Adrian Morejon was actually really great. So was Edwin Diaz and Aroldis Chapman, which is to be expected. Compared to the US, Josh Hader, Devin Williams, and Ryan Presley were our best relievers. So it's a pretty clear cut, I would say. The US team is a tier above the world team, but again, the world team did have some great, outstanding performances there. Here's one final look at the rosters. If you want to take a look at the data from the simulation yourself, I'll put a link to the Google Sheet with all of that in the comments. Don't take any of this as serious research, just a fun little experiment that I hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know if you think I made any wrong decisions with the rosters or anything else in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.